Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to today's Business Spotlight. I'm your host, Todd Rodden. I'm a certified business and executive coach, part of the Action Coach Network based here in the Dayton, Ohio area. If you're a first-time visitor, we're thrilled to have you. Encourage you to go ahead and hit the subscribe button so you'll receive future messages like you're going to hear today. And I think you're going to hear a very inspiring message. We're thrilled to have Amanda Rango here with us. Amanda is the founder and creative director of ARD Fashion Consulting, really a full service fashion design firm based in the Columbus, Ohio area. I think you're going to hear about her passion for what she does, her commitment, and bringing a wealth of experience in the fashion industry to play here. So, further ado, Amanda, take a couple minutes, introduce yourself, tell us a little bit more about ARD and how you got started.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for having me. I'm very excited about this conversation today. So the way I got started, essentially, I am a fashion designer by trade. So I went to school here in Columbus at CCAD and, did a fashion design degree, really enjoyed my time there. And, just being in Columbus, it was a great place to start my career. A lot of fashion companies here. So I was in the fashion industry in a corporate environment for just about 20 years. And, just very fortunate to have what I call grown up in the industry here in Columbus. Just so many reputable companies, wonderful, growth opportunity to be in that corporate environment for 20 years. And really my entrepreneurial journey started kind of through COVID. So I feel like a lot of things have happened through COVID. Our company went to a work from home situation. And I think just through that experience, I realized just some new possibilities with my career and the type of service that I can provide to others, and that it is actually possible to do that on your own or from a remote perspective. So I would say that's just kind of the first opportunity that kind of opened my eyes to what could be. And from there, my company, unfortunately, was sold like a lot of companies, filing for bankruptcy. And I just kind of took that opportunity to explore what else could be possible. So my husband is actually an entrepreneur. He really encouraged me to think about, a little outside of the box and possibly taking the leap of leaving the corporate environment. And so ultimately, that's what I did. A little bit kicking and screaming. But, just kind of started that journey very organically, just trying to start a freelance website and quickly, found some really wonderful opportunities to partner with some brands to, launch a couple new collections. And I ended up building a small team here in Columbus of subcontractors. So just very quickly, I was able to see the potential of this kind of contractor space. So that's kind of how my journey started. And I would say, I think over the last 2 years, I've done a lot of work trying to really hone in on the right client and who feels like the right fit for me and my business. It's taken some time, some experience, I'm never going to do that again, or I had a blast, I want to do that again kind of experiences. But ultimately, what ARD Fashion Consulting is we are a consulting firm that helps fashion founders specifically. So you're either a fashion founder and you have an idea and you just don't really know how to bring that idea to fruition, or you're a fashion founder and you've already founded your business. Perhaps you've figured out a way to launch a product, to get a little bit of, sales under your belt, but perhaps you're ready to grow. And so, my strong suit is kind of a perfect balance of right brain, left brain. So I am a creative person. I love to do creative work, research, design, product development, but I also have a very balanced other side of my brain that has the analytics side, the business side, So it's actually been a really great fit for me to be able to kind of lean into both of those sides of my brain to really hone in and develop strategies and processes, efficiencies to help these founders to essentially establish either a successful or valid business or grow that business. So that's kind of, in a nutshell, high level, what I do.
So that balance of creative analytics that is hard to come by. Maybe for our viewers who maybe aren't quite as close to the fashion industry, for some of them, could you share maybe like a client example? Maybe you can't share the name, but like an example of somebody who you've helped on their fashion journey.
Yeah, sure. Actually, I'll share a client that I can share their name because they actually just launched their brand, which is very exciting. So I was approached by a client probably about 16 months ago. They're nonprofit, actually here in Ohio. So they had a daughter who passed away from cancer, and they, took their pain and turned it into something good. And they wanted to create a line of PJs for pediatric cancer patients that had adaptabilities, that they could access ports and pick lines, but that were comfortable. They were trendy, soft, So essentially, that client came to me with, a problem that needed solving. And most of my background is in kidswear. So we became a really, really great team. And we just launched in August. And so the name is Hallie Grace, and it's a pediatric cancer PJ line. So they have PJs, they have hoodies, a couple of camis for like modesty when you're in the hospital and you're having treatment. So that's a great example of a client that came to me with an idea with no background in the fashion industry, just live in little old Northeast Ohio, but had a, huge a life experience that something came out of it that they knew they had to fulfill a need. And so it took us a long time, about 15 months. But I really helped them with, market research, looking at who else out there in the world is doing this. And the answer was not enough people, honestly. And then we really kind of looked at trend forecasting, what do kids love, what has energy and joy and encouragement. So a lot of the PJs have encouraging words and things of that nature. And then I helped them through the whole product development phase. So we did sketches, I put together trend analysis, color palette direction. We developed exclusive prints. We even worked with a pro bono attorney that I crossed paths with in my career in the past. And when I told her about this project, she jumped right on board, because anybody who doesn't know much about the industry, probably the most difficult product to design is kids sleepwear because of the regulations within the US, just for safety and compliance reasons. So that was, of course, top of mind, making sure that there were no chemicals applied to any of these products, just all those things to make sure that we're servicing the client. So essentially, I took them through the whole product development process. We fit all their product. I helped them partner with a manufacturer that, is very reliable, that does kids' pajamas specifically. So they would have a lot of industry standard knowledge. And essentially, we delivered their product to their door. They actually have a distribution center here just outside of Columbus. And I helped them execute their photo shoot so that they had, really wonderful photography for their e-commerce site. So it's really soup to nuts, helping a client go from idea and delivering product, go-to-market strategy, things of that nature.
Yeah. Wow. A tremendous breadth of services, right? I mean, talk full service, right? You really hit the nail on the head there with that. And obviously that example has to be tremendously rewarding when you help them launch that type of line with that kind of mission. Kind of building upon that, then maybe what sets you apart, makes you unique? Is it that breadth of services, or is there more to it?
So I think there's a couple things. And these are things that, again, it's just been through, 3+ years of trial and error and really trying to figure out how to build that brand aesthetic and what sets me apart. So I do think, first and foremost, it is the breadth of services. So a lot of people freelance. So you can find a freelance sketch artist or a freelance tech designer that works on your fit, or you connect with a factory. But I think what ARD brings to the table is that entire process. My goal is to make that process less overwhelming and more joyful and fulfilling for my clients. So I've been living and breathing this for 23 years. So at this point, there's very little that can shake me to the core. It's like, things that someone might, like I had a client, we had designed the whole line. We were about to go into production and they actually got a rejection on the trademark of their brand name. And we had to actually completely pivot and come up with a new brand name after finishing the product, essentially the design of the product. So, it's situations like that where I can bring, authentic support and just guidance in how to steer that. So, in that situation, I was able to say, okay, there's some things that we can continue moving and not lose time. And then there's a couple of things like your logo or your brand name, embroidered on the
Mhm.
pocket that we're going to just need to recreate the artwork, send it over, do one more approval, and then we can move forward. So something like that might stop people in their tracks. And I was able to just say, here's what we can control and can keep moving on. And here's what we need to change quickly. And it was only like a 3-week delay in like delivery. So I think it's those specific instances where, I can really help guide people through those, tough situations and just, be there for someone in maybe like a panic moment. So I definitely think that full service experience is something that not many of my competitors are able to offer. And then I would say probably the second thing, if I had a choice of what I'm known for, it's authenticity and trust. So I I speak to a lot of people in the industry, whether it's just a discovery call, perhaps they don't work with me in the end. And a lot of my current clients, but they've, had some negative experiences, maybe, lost some money or received product that was not what they anticipated. And without the tools of, you know, what do I do in this situation? Or how can I make sure this doesn't happen going forward? I think for me, it's just bringing that truth and authenticity to guide them through that process and also educate them. So, okay, you received product that was not to your, standard and not what you agreed upon. You should ask them for some sort of a reimbursement, and people just they don't understand that that's even a possibility because of perhaps just lack of experience in the industry. So, I kind of go to bat for them and help them understand, maybe what should be the expectation and how to hold various people that they're working with accountable for those expectations.
So kind of building upon that, I'm curious, given your breadth of services, how do you market your business? What have been the best, marketing channels and pathways for you and ARD so far?
So again, such a learning experience as you just kind of gain, days, months, years within the business. But I will say, I've really over the last 6 to 9 months, I've really leaned into not only social media channels, but really trying to develop an SEO rhythm. So I worked with an SEO expert at the end of last year, another female business owner, that I actually went through a program with. She was amazing. And she really just helped to educate me on what I need to do, what does my website need to look like, and not aesthetically, but like photos and backlinks and just all of those things that I knew nothing about. So she kind of gave me an education piece, and then she gave me a little bit of advice on what to do go forward. So I did launch a blog probably around February. So here we are now in, almost October, and I'm finally seeing the payoff for that. So, I think a lot of things take time, but if you invest in the right places with the right content, it can really help you. So just over the last 2 months, I've had just a lovely pickup in traffic through my website, which is something, never a place that I had gained business before. So that's been really lovely. And then I've pretty much had LinkedIn as my, primary social channel for the majority of my business. But I started running some analytics there and learned that that's more my networking and former coworkers sort of network. So even though I need to continue, growing and building that network, I also just need to know my audience and which pillars I can play into. And so I actually just launched Instagram not too long ago, just knowing that that's probably where more of fashion founders are. So that's been a huge initiative, and I've gotten a lot of really great traction there. And then things like this, like just trying to find podcast hosts that I relate to, that I share similar values with, that perhaps have a similar audience, just to, help build awareness of what I'm doing. I mean, I'm just little old me here in Columbus, Ohio, how can I, really try and stretch my reach? And, the biggest, I feel like every entrepreneur, it's how do I find my ideal client? And so that's kind of the journey that I'm on. And I think just podcasts, have been very valuable to me personally, just who I listen to and how I, consume education and content. And so, I'm hopeful that that can provide that for, somebody who might become a client of mine or just an audience person, that I can help to, educate or share my experiences with. So yeah, I would say those are a couple of my marketing strategies. Yeah.
Okay, good. No, great examples, and talks about how you're kind of learning, evolving, shifting, and pivoting, right? Trying to make sure you're going where the bulk of your customers are.
Yeah.
So, been an entrepreneur now for a little over 3 years. Every entrepreneur journey has some twists and turns in the road, some hills and valleys to go through. So maybe share with us a key past roadblock that you had to overcome. And then what's the challenge you have today on the horizon that you're trying to figure out?
Okay. I would say, my first year in business, I don't know if it was luck or the stars aligned, but I had a wonderful client for the first year of my business. There were definitely pros and cons to that. So it was more of a corporate client that I was, just consulting and contracting for. But it showed me, what I can learn from each situation. So at the end of the day, after a year of working together pretty much full time, and I had hired a whole team, we decided to part ways. They took a lot of those roles internally, which, coming from a corporate environment, I think the corporate side of me completely understood what was happening. And, it's business, it's not personal. Yeah. But the business owner was shocked. And, it was kind of my first, having to face the music of like losing a client and taking away as many learnings as I could. So, it was not fun to say to a team that I had built that, we no longer have the one and only contract that we've had for 1 year. So that was really tough for me because I love the people that I work with, and you never want to have to say that to anyone.
Mhm.
But some of the learnings that I took is, okay, Amanda, not all your eggs in one basket from here
Yeah.
on out. I mean, so I think just out of any situation that stands out in my mind because I was so new to entrepreneurship, it felt like such a huge hit. But what I learned from that were so many things, and as long as I can learn from, and I don't consider that a mistake, but as long as you can learn from your experiences, whether they're mistakes or not, I think that just continues to make you stronger. And my husband's an entrepreneur, and, he always told me early on the best thing you can do is make mistakes as quickly as possible and learn as much as you can from those mistakes. And so when that happened, I was like, okay, what can I learn from this? How can I grow? And ultimately, that situation is what led me out of my comfort zone to then ask myself, who are my ideal clients? Who do I want to work with? And that's what kind of led me down the path of finding fashion founders. Um, and then I would say the answer to the question about, what are my biggest challenges now? I would say it's still just finding the ideal clients. So if you think about, I have such a wealth of information to share with my clients, but when I chose fashion founders, those are people who are either bootstrapping or they need investors. So it's a real slippery slope, trying to find a client who feels like a good fit, who also has, the capital or the finances to invest in this project. I mean, it's a big investment to launch a collection or a line. You've got the service side of getting it going. You've got the actual product purchase. You've got to
Mhm.
create a website. You've got to do a photo shoot. You got to put a go-to-market strategy, all of your social media. Like, it is not for the faint of heart, and it's a long process. So I think that's probably my biggest challenge is just finding clients that are an ideal fit, that kind of check, most of the boxes and are ready to embark on this type of a journey, because it's not only, financial investment, but definitely some of a time investment. I mean, that's essentially what I do, is hopefully alleviate, most, if not all of the work for the client. They're just there for like milestone meetings and to make sure that, we're bringing their ideas to fruition. A lot of my clients actually work full-time jobs, and we're just, doing it on the side because that's my job, is to contract and take that work off of their plate. But yeah, it's not for everybody.
Okay.
I
That's part of what makes it fun.
know. Yeah. And it's
So,
exciting, and they learn a lot, in the journey. So
so you mentioned your team several times, and your eyes light up when you talk about your team. So maybe talk through that. I know now we talked before. You've got a really strong group of subcontractors, but how do you develop that team, attract that team, retain them, keep them all aligned? Tell us more.
yeah, so I will say, I mean, I think while I was in corporate, I had some great advice along the way, which was never burn a bridge. And it is definitely serving me tenfold at this point because, most of my subcontractors are former coworkers. So in my last 20 years, in that corporate retail environment, obviously I interacted and worked with some really, really talented people. And especially here in Columbus, because they're, through COVID and post COVID, there were a lot of companies that filed for bankruptcy or, they had massive layoffs. And so there's an incredibly saturated pool of talent here in Columbus, specific to the fashion industry. So I just feel privileged to be able to tap into that talent because a lot of those folks are, they're freelancing or contracting now, which is just the perfect situation for what I'm doing because I don't have, full-time W-2 employees. my clients ebb and flow, where we need, certain people, a graphic designer or somebody to design, labels and hang tags, or somebody to do prints. That work is definitely an ebb and flow. So I am so glad that I get to, still work with some really amazing people that I've worked with. Some have been for maybe 3 years, since I've been, having my business, but a lot of them I've worked with for 5, 10, some even 15 years, just because we were in corporate together. So I just feel very privileged to be able to tap into that talent pool. And the best thing about those relationships is, I don't have to vet people. I don't have to go through an interview process. I don't have to go through an onboarding. I don't have to go through, your 30, 60, 90-day touch base. Like, we've worked together for so many years that it's just such a rhythmic type of relationship. So I just know that I can trust them, and we have mutual respect for one another. And so it's just been a lovely, experience to work with those people again, and in a different capacity.
Okay. So 3 years in, obviously you bring a wealth of experience into this, but 3 years in with the ARD journey, you've got a really great bench of trusted, talented folks. What's your vision from here? What do you see 3, 5+ years down the road?
So, first I got to lay the groundwork. I got to find more clients. But I would love to have just a full functioning, true design firm. So being able to, service as many clients as I can, because I have people, I have subcontractors, I have the teams that are here and in place to service those clients. So, I think the dream would be to have like a brick and mortar firm somewhere where we can go. Like right now, I just work out of my home studio, and I, meet clients. We do coffee meetings, or we go to, work share space. But definitely the dream would be to have a small office and just be able to create an environment where people can stop in to kind of do work, have meetings, go over products. And I would just love to grow my client base internationally. I mean, I am all domestic at the moment, so I do have a lot of local clients. I do have some clients that are in California or New York, but I would love to do international work as well. So when you're working with people remotely from afar, chances are you're either going to go there at some point or they're going to come here. And so I would love to have an office, a showroom, some storage, because I have a lot of product that goes through my hands when working with clients. So I think that's the ultimate goal, to just be able to better support my clients from beginning to end, so that it's a one-stop shop, and they don't have to worry about, multiple contractors or finding multiple resources. They can just come to one spot.
So, Amanda, as we get close to wrapping up here today, what are the best ways for folks to stay connected and to follow ARD and yourself in the future, so they can see that growth and that journey?
Absolutely. So you can get on our website, which is ard-consulting.com. You can also reach out on LinkedIn. So my personal, just Amanda Rango on LinkedIn. And then we also have a business page, ARD Fashion Consulting. And then most recently, we actually just launched IG. So at ARD Fashion Consulting. So whichever, channel is your choice, check us out there. And then also on our website, I do blog twice a month. So I'm very passionate about educating. I spend a lot of time with students locally at OSU and CCAD. And I just love to, nurture new talent and young creatives, as well as anyone that's, new to the industry or thinking about, getting into this profession. So I do have a blog twice a month, and it's purely education. So, if you're looking to learn more about the industry, I tap into both my corporate and my entrepreneurial experiences. They actually go hand in hand. There's just a couple tweaks either way, depending on which one you sit in. So those are all really great resources if you want to
Okay.
just consume more content, learn more. Yep.
Okay. All right. Thank you for sharing all that. All right. And we'll copy those all in the show notes as well.
Awesome.
So as we wrap, final question. What are you inspired by today? You're inspiring others with your journey. What are you inspired by?
Honestly, I am inspired by other people. I think, there's so many ebbs and flows to entrepreneurship. It can be the highest of highs and it can be the lowest of lows. And I just find inspiration in other people. So like a perfect example, I think it was yesterday or this morning, I got some disappointing news, like a client that I thought I was going to have. It was going to be a great client, was really looking forward to it, and they just weren't ready for the journey. And so that felt very disappointing to me. But then I had coffee with a young designer this morning who's, just at the cusp of like the beginning of their journey. And, she just lit up when I shared about my business and talked about my passion. And, I think people just continue to inspire me. My husband inspires me. He's an entrepreneur and probably my biggest cheerleader. He's the one that pushed me out of the nest to leave corporate and try something on my own. So I just love connecting with people. And I think, you always want to share what's happening. And so I love the fact that even if some things happen that's maybe not so great, the next moment I could, come in contact with somebody who just inspires me and brings me back up.
All right. Thank you for sharing that. Thank you for sharing your story, your journey, and quite a few lessons learned here that the other entrepreneurs listening, I'm sure, can take great notes and take advantage of. So thank you so much, Amanda Rango. To our viewers, again, we're thankful to have you join us here today. And again, encourage you to not only hit the like button, that helps us on our side, but also hit subscribe so you receive future messages from other inspiring leaders like you were able to hear from Amanda here today as well. So with that, again, encourage you all to check her out on her blog as well as through the other connections that we mentioned. I hope you all have a terrific day. Thank you.